This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production.
Welcome back to the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Today, we're talking about one of our favorite hobbies, traveling. Yes. The importance of traveling. And we say this because we both just traveled.
Yes.
We both just had two incredible experiences that if you follow us on socials at Gold Ivy Health Co., you saw. One of us was in a different country. One of us was a different part of the country. Mm-hmm. But we both had some pretty cool experiences that we want to share with you today.
Yes. And travel is like why I'm even doing this. Like I just want to see the world. I've always wanted to see the world. It's so big. There's so many cultures. I mean, it's actually kind of sad to me just how limited time is and money and stuff so that I can't see every part of the world because I just want to see everything. And I want to just create memories and like be able to help my kids see the world too. I feel like it's like my job, you know? And it's so important to me because I feel like it gives you perspective. It gives you a refresh. It opens your eyes to like, oh, I didn't even know that was something that I was uncomfortable with or bothered me. You can learn about the people you're traveling with and see how flexible they can be and how they treat people. And I just feel like traveling it's the freaking best.
Yeah. And distance makes the heart grow fonder. We were apart for damn near 20 days, which is probably the longest we've been apart in years since I lived in Florida.
Yeah.
After I graduated.
Yeah. Our trips lined up back to back. So like when she was landing from the airplane, I was like driving to the airport. And so it was like,
take your it.
Oh yeah. We were like, man, it was smart that we kind of lined them up, but we could have maybe overlapped them a little bit better. So it wasn't so long,
but it was fun.
Yeah.
And we're back together now. And I went to New York. And then I went to New Jersey, but I stayed overnight in Pennsylvania. And I was in 2 states at one time. It was great. And I did the weekend in New York with friends, which was amazing. And then I went to a speaking conference, an event, a training where I was trained by Heroic Public Speaking. Shout out Alan Stein Jr. for the recommendation. And it was intense 2-day experience where they teach you rehearsal, how to build a script, how to create a referable speech, how to market your speech, and just amazing information. And the connections that I made were awesome. We're going to have 2 friends that I created on the trip on the podcast, so stay tuned. They both have incredible stories. And it really gave me a perspective on what is possible. You put yourself in rooms with people who are doing insanely amazing things. And first I felt extremely small. Like, I do not belong. And then the next I felt, but this is where I need to be. To tell my brain, this is comfortable. This is safe. This is okay. This is what I want. This is what's possible. And there's people from all over. There was CEOs. There was motivational speakers. Like, literally the amount of people that were there for the same purpose, to better themselves, to be able to share their message more efficiently, effectively, taking people on an emotional journey. And I'm super grateful that I had the opportunity to do it. And now we're back, and catch me on stages near you.
Yeah. I feel like too, that type of experience really gets you thinking about who am I and what am I trying to say? Like, what is my message? Like, what is it that I want to do in this world with this speech I'm about to give? You know, do you feel like you got the clarity you were looking for?
Yeah, I really want to be able to use my pain as my purpose, which I feel like I already am. But I know that I can reach bigger audiences by specifically sharing a message that will help other people not go through what I went through. For the longest time, I was trying to figure out, am I speaking to people who are sick? And is that keeping me in that mental space, or am I helping prevent? Like, as coaches, we're really preventative medicine here. And I want to talk to business owners and female entrepreneurs who are going at lightning speed, and moms, and the importance of slowing down to listen to your body and how to tune into your body, and using my story as proof that we do have everything we need within us to figure out how to get your health back, because being sick in today's society is inevitable. I think about disease, dis-ease in the body, how we don't sleep, how we stress, how we eat, how we don't move. Like, it's inevitable that we're going to get sick. And instead of placing our power in a doctor, which, yes, there's always a time and place, but trying to find all these answers outside of ourselves, how do we slow down and listen to what we need to get back on track so we don't burn out, so we don't have to spend time being sick, because no one has time for that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, yeah, and I love that. I love to, like you said, being in a room where you feel kind of small. Like, as much as that's uncomfortable, like, that's also really important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we have big dreams and mentorship and, you know, meeting people that inspire you, whether it's in a room on the East Coast of the US or if it's in your community that, you know, you have things that are calling you, that you're drawn to for a reason. And then connecting with people that are kind of a step ahead of you or two steps ahead of you, in a sense of they have the same passion and they are taking action on it that's fulfilling. So how can you get your place to a more fulfilling spot with what you're drawn to? Because what's better than that, than having this purpose and then thinking about who you can help and then tying them together and then delivering this thing that can be transformational.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. I'm so happy like you did it, because you easily could have been like, oh, it's a good idea, but we'll see.
Yeah, we did the damn thing. And it's just proof that if you set your mind to it, you will make it happen. Like, I had to get on a train, and then I had to get on another train, then I had to get on an Uber, then from there I had to train. Like, I am terrible with direction. Up until this trip, let me tell you. So just proving yourself, like, I can be in a completely different area and I have the belief in myself to figure it out, to get to this place, to have conversations with these people, get outside of my comfort zone, because we know there is no growth in the comfort zone.
Yeah. Well, I think of like Gabrielle Stone talking about like solo travel and like how empowering solo travel is. I know we also had Justin Schumann on, and he took a trip to Japan by himself to empower himself that he could solo travel. And I mentioned this to my husband the other day, and he was like, why would you? No, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I'll be so lonely. You know, he's just like such an extrovert. But I do think there is something about going by yourself and showing yourself, I can figure this out. Like, whether I need to Google something, ask someone, or just like take a second to try and figure it out, and then showing yourself like you figured it out. You are more badass than you even imagine. I think there's something really empowering about traveling.
And also clarity you get while traveling alone. You know, if you don't need clarity, or you are an extrovert and that's what you want to use your travel for, by all means, do the damn thing. But if you are in a place in your life where you feel stuck, you don't know what direction, or is it worth it? Do I take the leap? I don't know. I think going to a different place and having that alone time, not in your current environment, is so incredible for that.
Yeah, I think removing yourself from your tiny little bubble and this one little part of your little county and your little state, you know, it's like you get this new view on your life, and then it's like a refresh when you come back. It's like, wow, I really fill my time with some things that don't really make me that excited, or, you know, there's always things we have to do to just like function, and like, you know, cleaning up your space or whatever. Maybe they're like, doesn't spark a whole lot of joy. But in general, I feel like you were saying we go a million miles an hour doing all these things that might not actually need to be on our plate. And we're around people that don't really make us feel alive and align with our values, or align with the type of activities we want to be doing, right? And so I think when you remove yourself, it's like a fresh set of eyes when you come back, you know, of, wow, this is my space. This is where I've chose to live, who I chose to be around, what I'm choosing to do. And sometimes I just don't think you can have that full clarity on what you're doing until you removed yourself and came back.
Yeah, clarity on what you want to switch up. Also what you're grateful for. When I was in New York, I was like, oh, I miss my quiet townhome by the river and the nature. These streets are kind of dirty. No offense to all you New Yorkers. It's fun. I was like, I would much rather be an ocean girly. There was a time and place when I wanted to be a New York girly. And through my healing journey and just where I've come in life, I'm an ocean girly. And I am grateful that I have that clarity and that I have my home, my relationship. I think when you solo travel, you're, like I said, distance makes the heart grow fonder. I was grateful for the people I have in my life, people that I want to tell all these things that happen to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good. I'm glad you did it by yourself too. I feel like that's so badass. And you can look back and be like, before I had kids, before I was married, I went on a couple trips all by myself.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of trip, more work trip. Like it was a lot of business on the brain, where our next trip will be oceanside, relaxing, like you did, maybe going to a different country. Let's tell the people about your travel.
Yeah, I went to Japan. My best friend Britt has been living there for a bit because her husband is working there. And he happens to be working for a really successful company and was in a really beautiful spot of Japan that was very fancy. So everybody around us was so fancy. And like Japanese people in general, they like dress really well. Like they are very put together. Like they don't just like wear a raggedy old sweatshirt around like I do. Like they are, they're very like, you can tell like nothing is like roughed up. They have like nice shoes and yes, it was a nice part, but then we also did some excursions in different parts of Japan. We went to Kyoto and we went on this excursion to the Mount Fuji area. And it was still the same way. It was like everybody was very put together, and, you know, that might make you think like they're stuck up or they're, you know, really into what they look like, but they're not at all. I felt like when we were anywhere, nobody was staring at us, which sounds kind of weird. It's like, I didn't realize how much people stare until I was somewhere where they don't. Like Justin and I would be walking down the streets of Tokyo, like for sure the tallest people in the city. and, you know, we're looking around, we're looking at what people are wearing, we're looking at the streets, we're looking at the signs, we're looking at the food and like all of this stimulation. But like, nobody's looking at us. Like I was like, oh, we're going to stick out and what should I wear? Because Britt was telling me people are quiet and the women cover up more than they do in America. So just like up to you, wear whatever you want, but like you might stick out. That to me meant I was thinking, oh, people are going to be staring if I wear short shorts or staring if I wear a tank top, but nobody was looking at me. And especially men, like they were so like respectful of my body, and I didn't realize how much men check you out. And it's not like to say like, because I think I'm so hot, guys are looking at me. No, it's like, I just didn't realize like they legit don't even look at you. It's like they kind of see you coming in and they look almost the other way. Like out of respect, it felt like.
Okay.
I've heard there's some like different dynamics in Japanese culture with the male and female, but it felt like we were in this place observing this culture. And we were like in our own little world observing it, and no one like cared that we were there, looked at us. But then when we did interact with people in restaurants or bars or when we were doing touristy stuff, they were so patient with the fact that we knew no Japanese. Like we knew like nothing. We learned a couple words before we went that were like important to know, like excuse me and please and thank you. And, you know, everybody says toilets. So like just say toilet anywhere in the world.
Okay.
But they were so patient with us not knowing anything, and like the language is nothing like ours, and so there was no way to even meet in the middle here.
Right, good luck.
Right. And there was even times where like people trying to understand us, like they just start laughing with us. Like it was like a fun, warm exchange. Like everybody, they're just so sweet over there. I know I'm generalizing, but my experience was, you know, a full week in Japan with people that really just accepted us, didn't stare at us, didn't make us feel dumb for not knowing their language. We tried a lot of awesome food that was very different, like chicken hearts and fried squid and like just all kinds of random things. Had the best ramen of my life. Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't that expensive is what you're telling us.
Right. Yeah, it was not crazy expensive. I mean, we're not like big shoppers. We don't go like shopping for clothes or whatever, so I can't speak to that. But like food. Was very reasonable. It was cheaper than it would have been here at a fancy restaurant. So that was that. And as far as like the country goes, it's so interesting. It is so clean. And it got me thinking about like how we don't really take care of our world. Like in America, like you were talking about the city. In Tokyo, there's no like public garbage or recycling. You like, unless you're in like a food court or something, you take care of your own garbage. So, you know, if you like bring things out into the community, like you're bringing it home and you're going to recycle it, you're going to throw it away in the trash. There's no like big receptacles that are like overflowing in the city anywhere. There's no cigarette butts on the ground. There's no like, it is so clean. The bathrooms, the public bathrooms are the fanciest thing I've ever seen. They're so clean. They're cleaner than the bathrooms in my own home. Like pristine. Like I would like eat breakfast in their bathrooms.
You heard it here first, folks.
And they have a bidet in every bathroom. So you can get a little shower on your patoot after every bathroom visit, no matter where you are. Doesn't matter like what type of place you're in, you can get a little bidet action. And they even they're so private. They even have like sound machines in the bathroom so that nobody can hear you pee or poop. They like, you hit a button and you can hear a waterfall.
Obsessed.
Yes. And then they also like, if you need to throw away a tampon or something in a little garbage in your bathroom, you just wave a little hand. They have like a fancy little garbage. There's no like, it's just so clean. And they just really take care of their community space. It is so beautiful. And in Tokyo, which is the biggest city in the world, there's all these little areas that are like, all of a sudden you're in this park and it feels like you're not even in a city. Like miles of trails and ponds and iris gardens and arches and temples. And you're like, you're in this city, but then all of a sudden you feel like you're in this like Japanese countryside, and it's so quiet because they're very quiet there. So it's like everybody's whispering and you're on the train and no one's looking at you or talking. So there were times where Justin and I we were like laughing out loud. We were like cry laughing because if we had like an inappropriate thought or statement, it felt so like naughty. Like we shouldn't, like we don't belong here. We're too loud and inappropriate. I don't know. It was so fun. And we did some excursions. We had some alone time, Justin and I, and a lot of like quality time with Britt and her family. And they're just like the most considerate hosts. Like we could do laundry and it felt like we had a home base. And I know it was like a very privileged trip of like where they live in Japan and the situation, but I would definitely go back. I would live there.
I was going to say, what the hell are we doing here? Sounds like we had two completely different trips. I went to Chaos and you went to Zenland, and I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, I think you would love it there. And it's the thing, like with travel, you don't know till you're there. Like I kept thinking, what's Japan going to be like? Mm-hmm. Like, and even my son was like, will you take my bookmark with you and just bring it everywhere? Because I want to know when I get my bookmark back what Tokyo's like. And I was like, that's not
this Flat Stanley?
Like, I don't know how this works, Griffin, but it's so funny because like you just, until you're in that environment, you don't know how you're going to feel, how you're going to adapt, what the food's going to taste like, what it's going to smell like, what the people will be like. And it really opened my eyes to wanting to slow down and wanting to care for my space and community better and the earth better. They're just doing a lot of great things. And it's so safe. Like kids are walking home from school that are like 6 with their backpack. They're safe. Like there's hardly any crime. There's like hardly any shootings.
How the hell do we get that over here? How do we transfer some of those values? Like what will it take?
I don't know. I think, it's a lot of, I'm sure, years of traditions passed down and values passed down. So I think it's a challenging thing to like pinpoint what it would take, but I'm sure it's policy. I'm sure it's really instilling values in your children to pass this down. And it's just like, I think owning your own actions of what do I want my world to feel like, look like? What do I want to pass down to my kids? Like they have some really cool values, and yeah, it definitely got me thinking the same question.
Well, I mean, you think any change starts from within. You have that ability to do exactly what you said, to slow down within your own house, to tell your kids about how it was so that they can tell their kids and your community, your friends. It starts from within, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think too about like tolerance for people. Like, in America, it's like, if people aren't speaking English, like, what are you doing here? And it's like, oh my gosh, like, our country is so beautiful. Like if you think about America with like the oceans and the mountains and the desert and the coast, like of course people want to come here. And I really feel like we should give them the same treatment that we get when we go other places. And not every place is as friendly as Japan, but I really just felt like welcomed and accepted and like enjoy our beauty, like enjoy our culture. And I did a few things too out of my comfort zone, like trying new foods, obviously was one. But I am like notorious for like falling off bikes and like I just really clumsy up until this point with like a bicycle. And Britt was like, oh yeah, we can take the electric bikes around the city, which the city is full of cars and people. I'm like, I'm going to kill someone else or myself on this thing. And we were going to yoga, her and I, this night yoga, which was like unbelievable. It was probably my favorite thing we did.
I love it.
And we're on these electric bikes, like steering through the city, dodging people. And I had this belief that I wasn't going to be able to do it and did it. And it was so cool just to like show yourself again, like these things you tell yourself you can't do or you're bad at, like, it's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like exposure. It's just like experimenting. It's just like anything else. And I'm so glad I did, because it was like my favorite thing we did, where it was just her and I following your best friend around Tokyo, the biggest city in the world. And she knew where to turn. There was like all the signs are in Japanese. Like, how do you even know where we're going? We went to the U.S. Embassy. These gates open up. I'm like, what world am I living in that this is happening? And it felt so surreal and so like, gosh, the world is so big, and I just want more of these experiences.
Mm-hmm. Also slowing down to have fun, like to bike, not taking yourself so serious.
Yes.
Like that's going to hold you back from traveling if you take yourself too serious. No, we'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Trust.
Yeah. And I also think like traveling is such a privilege. Like it costs a lot of money and effort, and I have 3 kids, and we wouldn't have been able to go on the trip, you know, with all of them, with how much it costs. And so we left them with Justin's parents, and like having the privilege of trusting people to have your kids for a week, and the emotional toll that took, like to leave them. And, you know, they had a great time, but it's still like a week away from your kids. It was the longest we'd ever done. And so that's a privilege. The money is a privilege. Like just the way that we were able to travel and where we were able to stay for free was a privilege. And so I still don't want to, you know, leave that part out, that I understand it was a very privileged trip.
There's also parts of it that anyone can experience. You don't have to go to a different country. You can spend a day trip, just get in your car and drive somewhere, change of scenery, change of environment. That's really what you need to reset, gain some clarity. Ed Milet just released an episode where he talks about touching your dreams, and that really spoke to us, of thinking about when you do have the money you want, when you are living your dream life, like what are the things you're doing? And for him, it was staying at a Four Seasons. And so he would just stay one night. You know, he'd reach his goal, meet that incentive, and then that's what he would do to reward himself, to tell his brain, ooh, we belong here. Yes, I can do this.
And so, he got more familiar the more he touched it. And then it felt like I
belong.
Yes, I belong here. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like the gym, where you're like, I can't go to that gym. I am so out of shape, and what are they going to think? But it's like, he said, like you go in once, and then all of a sudden you know where the weights are. You go in again, and then you know the person at the front desk. And then you go again, and then you take a class that is a little scary, but then you kind of know what to expect. It's like you said, you can weave these things in your own community, in your own state, in your own country too.
Yeah, and we hope you do, because this is a big piece of mental health. Like we both came back recharged, excited, motivated, feeling on fire. And again, you don't have to take a huge trip to do that, but find what it is for you and do it. You're worth it.
Yeah.
All right. And your 3 gold stars today. Number 1, think of the next location you'd want to take an adventure to, whether it's outside or in your community, and write it down.
Number 2, what experience lights you up but feels too far from reach?
And number 3, reflect on what you'd like to experience in that place and what it would give you.
And lastly, your piece of gold. It's an anonymous quote. The quote is, "We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us." This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.